Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining our podcast today for our Race Today podcast. I am Dr. Alicia Williams, and our Race Today podcast is a 1 hour talk show about the Black experience and racism in the United States today. We'll also have an activist platform to eradicate racism across the United States. We are grateful to have the opportunity to be talking with Black entrepreneurs today, and I'm excited to begin those introductions. First, we'll have Patrick Francis, if you'll introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Patrick, like Alicia just said, and I'm in New York. I'm Jamaican born, and my wife and I, we have been married and for 23 years, doing business together for 20 years. And, we run the Coal House Grill in New York. And so, but, business has always been in our blood. And I guess, as long as we've been together, we've been doing business. So I'm excited to be on this. Thank you for having me. Excited to be on this panel with such great people and to learn some good stuff. Thank you.
Great to have you, Patrick. Next, I have Scott.
Good afternoon. My name is Scott Midget. Currently, born and raised in Prince George's County, Maryland. So I'm a lifer DMVer. I own a photography company as well as a videography filmmaking company. Been passionate about it since I was 17 years old. I'm 51 now. So this is something that I enjoy doing. I love telling people stories through whether it's children or anything in the community. I'm very active within our high schools and community, supporting various organizations and what we do. So just happy to be a part of the panel today to learn more about some fantastic folks doing fantastic things.
And great to have you here with us, Scott, as well. And last but not least, we have Doris.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Doris Barber, and I am the CEO and owner of the Michaela Group, a boutique marketing firm based in Gaithersburg, Maryland. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur, and one of my passions is helping service-based businesses to build brand awareness, to attract new customers, and keep them. Right, to nurture those existing customers. So I've always loved being in business, and I'm really happy to be on the panel to hear about other business people and what they're doing. It's just very exciting to hear that. So thank you for having me.
And great to have you as well, Doris. And with that, I'll hand it over to our moderator for today's panel, Mr. C.R. Gibbs. Thank you, C.R.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to go right into our questions. And again, these are open to any of you that would care to respond. And I'd like to begin with, how would you describe your background and your life experiences, which have helped you to contribute to your success? And anyone that cares to begin the discussion. How would you describe your life experiences and your background that led you to the success that you enjoy today?
I'll take a shot at it. My life experiences. So, like again, I film or I photograph football games, sporting events, mainly for high schools and boys clubs. So I was actively involved. I grew up in the Boys and Girls Club. Here, like I said, in the Washington, D.C. area. And also, by the time I got to high school, I wasn't much of a basketball player. So one way to stay involved in our environment, a lot of my friends played, and I knew that they would need film and things like that so that they could go to college. So again, a way of supporting what they do and what I love. I started filming games for them. And like I said, it helped them to get their game film and things like that to be able to show their talent so that they could, get into schools and stuff like that once they, to forward their education. And along the way, it actually helped me get into school And, I just took it from there. Like I said, I love doing it. And, that's one of the ways to help support the community, trying to give them a vision through my vision. So, it helps tell everyone's story.
Thanks a lot. Patrick or Doris, did you want to respond to the question about what your background and life experiences have helped you be the success that you are today?
I mean, I'll just jump in after Scott and said, I grew up in Jamaica, and it's pretty tough upbringing. And but my dad, I grew up with a dad that, and mom and dad that they're always pushing you to, because education is always like your main ticket in Jamaica, and sports. And I did okay at both, but in terms of business, it's something that I've grown up seeing, like my parents like doing little micro industries, raising chicken, doing other things. So that was always in my blood. So if the question was like, man, what prepared you for this? I was able to see it on display from a very young age, and it was easy for me to kind of just walk into that, business ideas, business concepts. So it wasn't too hard for me.
Thank you. All right. How would you see, any of you, this is open, your company's mission? Let's make it in 25 words or less. What's the mission of your firm? Anyone? What's the mission of your firm or company?
For me, it's in 25. My motto is to capture images that last a lifetime. So that's short, simple. That's what that's what we're built on.
Okay. Doris, can I rope you into this one?
Had to find my mouse. So yeah, I don't know if I can do it in 25 words or less. I'll get into the
by all means, whatever you need.
But I consider business and really life to be a garden. And so you have these different stages. You have the preparing, the seed, the planting and the watering, and then the maintaining. And a lot of times there's the weeding. And so the mission of my company is to assist businesses in whatever stage they're in, so that they can grow forward and flourish. So we provide the tools and services to help them to do that, so that they can have a flourishing business garden. So, yeah.
And I mean, for us, it's, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say for us, it's, I'm not the chef. My wife, Natalie, is the chef that, Alicia fell in love with her food. So, but for me, for us here, it's really helping you to have an authentic Jamaican experience. And Natalie is very, she was a teacher in culinary arts as well. So everything she does here, it's, she always said from the first customer to the last customer should be treated the same way and should be given the same level of excellence. So, everything that we do here, even though I manage the business and the operation aspect of the company, is Natalie's heartbeat that, we treat every customer the same way. We offer the same authentic, excellent experience and make sure every customer walks out of here satisfied. Do we always achieve that? I don't know, but we do it like about 90%.
All right. Scott, would you like to add anything, or have we covered you sufficiently in terms of your mission and background?
Well, like I said, the mission, of course, is in a broader sense, with us being an independent film company or what have you. My biggest mission is to give people a chance to be able to either be in front of the camera or even behind the camera in a role that you can learn, from doing, instead of, you might not have the means to go to a school to, pay thousands of dollars to get an education. Whereas one of my missions, like I said, my mission is to bring in folks to help them learn as we do. And as we do that, we all grow together. So, yeah.
Well, how does Big Shot Scott, how does that come into your business?
Well, so as far as that name came about, that I always look in you know, when I shoot pictures or what have you, I'm always looking for that big shot, you know, always looking for that one picture to give you that wow factor, to bring you into, oh wow, that really happened in that moment in time or what have you. So, and I just one day just came up with that big shot in my last, you know, Scott. So Big Shot Scott. So it all just came in, you know. So it was all about giving that wow factor, you know, catching that big shot. So yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Uh, Doris, if you don't mind, can you share with us how the pandemic affected your business? I've heard about restaurants getting hit pretty hard, but uh, how does a business like yours, is it impacted by the pandemic, or how have things been so far?
Um, it was affected in like a trickle down type of way. I mean, I'm virtual already, so I'm already digital doing these types of things. So, but it trickled down when I had a client who served other clients who were affected by the pandemic. So that trickled down to me, that said, okay, you know, maybe we can't continue to work together because I can't get paid because they're not getting paid. Otherwise, it did not. I still continued. A lot of my businesses needed me to provide service to help them to keep going, you know, as far as their brand awareness and things. So it didn't affect me as much. I mean, there were a lot more Zoom meetings, um, you know, so that was a little bit of Zoom fatigue, you know, that affected me. But otherwise, for the business, I think we were okay. And I'm thankful for that.
In light of what you've been through thus far, is there anything, if we should be unlucky enough to ever get hit with a pandemic again, is there anything that you would do differently after having this experience?
Yeah, I'd plan better. I'd definitely have more contingency plans. I'd practice what I preach a little more, you know, as far as just seeding my garden a little bit better so I could have a harvest in the lean times. Absolutely, I would. Yes, I've learned a lot of lessons. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Mhm.
Patrick, what about you? Anything differently this time in light of your experiences in the pandemic?
During the pandemic, we had, like everybody else, we had to pivot. We had to learn new ways of doing things and more creative ways, you know, for lack of a better term, of doing things. And that really kept us through the pandemic. And there was a lot of, like, you know, while there's a lot of restaurants struggled and some still struggle, and you know, we still kind of digging our way out, you know, that we were able to pivot and offer different things, offer new things, and package things differently. So, you know, for us, Natalie and I, we were able to stay consistent throughout the pandemic, and you know, I think it's a testament of Natalie's cooking. That's the first thing, and but as far as your question, you know, what some of the lessons that we learned coming out of the pandemic is maybe how much more creative we could have been from the onset, and like how we package stuff, how we do stuff is so much more portable. And you know, we also learned that there were things that we were product that we considered like these are like our authentic sauces that we use in-house, that now we're like, wow, we could have bottled that a long time ago and begin to brand it and get it out there. So these are some of the things that we really took away from the pandemic. How much more creative we can be. And then like Dari said, you know, kind of plan better, pre-plan better.
Scott, what about you? In terms of the pandemic, and what other obstacles have you faced, and do you foresee facing any in the next few years?
So as far as obstacles were concerned, what, like everyone else, it made me pivot to, I did a lot of work where we, of course, with the schools being closed, so we couldn't shoot games and things of that nature anymore. But as far as, a lot of the portrait work and things of that nature, we did a lot of that work indoors. So of course, I had to pivot to doing more things outside of the studio, and offering that and trying to pitch that to people to have them feel comfortable to say, hey, we're more creative if we could shoot outside instead of a studio. You know what I mean? So it made me start to do more research, more hunting of areas and things like that, to where it opened up my artistic creative mind to say, hey, this would be a great place to shoot this and that and another, so that I could bring people, I could show them, let's shoot here. You might not have thought about shooting outdoors, but here's a great location, and here's why, we can shoot out here. As far as the industry that I'm in is so competitive, and with the onslaught of what I have a iPhone 13 now that shoots great pictures, so so that is challenging, because a lot of people can take that and and do their own portraits and things of that that nature. So it kind of made me pivot into what I'm doing now, where it made me be artistic. And well, now I need to start writing so I can start creating movies and projects and things like that, to now I can shoot my own, to show what talents, other versatilities and talents that I have, that although it's saturated in the market, to keep myself standing, to the side, doing things that, number one, that I like to do, doing another thing that people don't tend to want to do or have discussions through film and things like that. So, and it made me realize that it's not just going to be about photography as far as shooting pictures. It forced me to learn how to do filmmaking, so that I become more rounded, to where when folks on this panel need a commercial, now instead of just taking their picture, well, we can sit down and we can provide services that we can make that commercial for them at a low price at that. That's the other thing. So trying to stay competitive with pricing and things like that. So yeah.
I want to go in and ask now. I have specific questions for each of you, and Scott, I'm going to go ahead and start with you.
Sure.
What projects are you proudest of, and why?
So we just finished the project called They Don't Know. It's a project about it's an anti-bullying project. First of all, I'm proud of it because it was something that I've created, and I was able to work with some wonderful people doing it. But it's the message. It's the message of from both sides of bullying, from the bully side, as well as the person that's being bullied, and how as society, from schools to parents to kids, how we all deal with it in our own perspectives. So I'm proud of that, because it all came about from actually listening to a young lady talk about her experience, her and her mom's experience with bullying. And just by saying, well, this is the type of film I want to do, and talking to different people, I didn't realize how bullying has affected so many people. And I mean, we've all dealt with it at some point, whether we were the ones being bullied or we knew someone who was bullied, and maybe we didn't hear them or respond to the way that we should have. The other aspect with that is I work with Taraji P. Henson with her foundation here in DC, her mental health foundation, and a lot of it revolves around going into different schools and helping children cope with problems that we wouldn't necessarily deal with in the school system, where the schools would automatically suspend a kid for being, for bad behavior, instead of trying to figure out, well, why are they acting like that? We got to get them out of the schools. Well, it's kind of pivot to let's be more proactive in getting and giving them help, instead of, just getting rid of the problem just by taking them out of the school. So with working with Taraji's Foundation and with this project, that's probably the most that I'm proud of with what I do.
What have you got coming up?
We're actually going to start filming another project called Struggling Faith. We actually start that this coming weekend. Yeah, the 30th, and we should be finished by mid-November. I'll be finished with that project as far as filming it. And we also have a Christmas movie coming out called Family Affair. That's actually already done. So we'll probably put that on streaming platforms or whatever. That was one of the pandemic actually slowed down the production of that. That's actually been done for over a year now. But it kind of slowed it down as far as getting it finished and things like that. So we have another project called Pro Se Litigator that I worked on out of DC with a few people or what have you. So we're staying busy on top of, still shooting football and some things. So we got a lot going on.
Well, which of these many projects do you think test your skills and at the same time, I think, bring you the greatest satisfaction?
So the next project that I have coming up called Struggling Faith will be my most challenging, for the simple fact it's the first one that I'm actually bringing people in that I actually had to do casting for. Normally we can kind of pick and choose who we want to pick and choose that we're familiar with. So this time I went out of pocket to get several people that I don't, and this is the biggest cast of folks that I'm responsible for this time. And I just want to make sure that the message, and I'm not going to tell you the message of the film because I want you to watch it, but I'm just excited that I'm excited and anxious at the same time that this project, how it comes across to people, and I hope all in a positive light. But it's something that I haven't done before. It's a longer project. I do shorts, so this one's a little longer than I've done. So it's going to be challenging, and challenging in a way too, where I've had to, again, scout different locations, I'm going to use various equipment that I haven't used in projects and things like that before. So I'm excited and anxious at the same time. So yeah, I'm not getting any sleep.
Good enough. Doris, how about you? And by that, I mean, could you give us a little bit, expand on your initial statement about life experiences, and what have you specifically had to do to keep your business thriving?
Oh, let's see. So Jersey girl originally, I guess that contributes to my life experiences, but I love learning. I'm very curious. I love digital things. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. My father was a systems analyst and a computer programmer. So he used to take me to his job after hours and show me different things. And I just became intrigued with computers and digital things, just completely intrigued. I have worn a lot of hats. As you know, I've done administrative work. I've been a project manager. I've done tech support on computers. I've built and repaired them. Used to study systems manuals for computers for fun. So those types of things, I like to bring those to the table for my clients. And I think that when my clients need something, either I've kind of learned it, I know where to find it, or I know who to refer them to. So that's what I do to help. I want my business to thrive, but I enjoy helping others to do that. And a lot of times that means some training and some resources that you can give them and tools. I love to find out about tech tools to help them to accomplish what they want. So I think that, helps me to thrive. And that's my experiences. I mean, my dad was a big influence on me with the computers, and that, that served me pretty well.
Well, can you tell us about some of the businesses that you've helped succeed?
So two of them that stand out for me is I have different kinds of speakers. They may be big. I tend to wind up with nonprofits. And so one particular nonprofit who serves the homeless community, they had a website that it was a website, so and they used to have visitors to the website. But of course, when you are a nonprofit, you need to have donations. And so I redid their website. And, according to their Google Analytics, their traffic increased exponentially. And that was able to help them to achieve their mission. Again, I want to help people to get to where they want to get to. And that was one thing. Another one that stood out was that I was working with a consultant, a mom. I was a stay-at-home mom. I still am, actually, but she was as well. And she was an independent consultant. And I helped her to build her brand awareness and her thought leadership, to promote her trainings and different things, and also to help her to get her paperwork together for becoming a women certified business. And so now she has her own firm with several people working for her. So we kind of grew together. So I feel very proud when I see her, doing different things. I know it's like, wow, I was a part of that. So that makes me feel very proud, and I'm very excited for her success.
You mentioned that your father was a role model for you. Did you have any others?
Actually, I do. I mean, I just, depending, they can be young, they can be old. It doesn't matter. If I can learn lessons from everybody. So if you think about the typical role models, of course, Oprah is a role model for me because of the obstacles. I just was listening to something of some obstacles she overcame, and I'm just like, wow, it just heightened her in my mind. I'm inspired by her. Of course, I've got Michelle Obama's book back there. She inspires me as a wife and a mother and as a leader. Just amazing. And then I also have a pastor that inspires me. Her name is Taffy Dollar. She is a godly woman, and I am inspired by her kindness and to see how she operates, grace under pressure. She also advocates for gender equality, and she's also a businesswoman. So those are my role models, but I tend to have several people that really add to the recipe for my life. I'll just take different ingredients from this one. I say, you know what, I'm going to adopt that for me. And so there are many, and secret mentors. They don't know that they're my mentors, but I'm watching them. And so I learned from them as well. So, yeah.
Well, you mentioned an interest in technology. Where do you see technology pushing your business in the immediate future?
Well, I think Scott kind of mentioned about, the iPhones now, how people can take their own pictures and do this type of thing. So with automation and a lot of, what do you call them? Turnkey websites, that can be like an obstacle or, something to overcome. But because again, you see the commercials, oh, just build a website with Wix or, instant website. Mm-hmm. Those are, something that I have to push through, but I'm going to continue to say, well, here's the value in this. You're going to get a cookie cutter website. I practice cookie cutter free marketing. So you're not going to look like everybody else. We're going to assess what you do in your unique business. It's a sea of samesies out there. So we are going to bring a unique perspective to your digital product, however I help you. But it does with the automation and as well as outsourcing overseas. People want to have instant notoriety, where again, I feel like with marketing, it is a seed, time, and harvest proposition, where you're going to sow seeds, you're going to water, you're going to do what you need to do, and it's going to come up, but that does take time. People do like to have an instant gratification. And so that is a little bit of a, an obstacle thing, and then a technology thing. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Patrick, can we dig a little bit deeper into how your heritage contributed to the success of your restaurant? And particularly in terms of what you put on the table, You talked a little bit about how you and your wife prepare it, but how do you select what you prepare?
Let me just go in a little background and do some justice to Natalie's trade since she's not here, right? Because Natalie is that's what she went to school for. We were both teachers in Jamaica. We both taught, she taught culinary arts. I teach at what would consider an elementary school here. But one of the things that Natalie will tell you in her story is how much her grandfather contributed to the success of the path that she chose. And, that's where she learned her cooking skill. She said her grandfather was a butcher and he would kill and give her pieces of meat to cook. And that's where she learned her craft and became great at it. And so I think that her background, growing up with a butcher, I assume, and her grandmother, just helping her to own in on that skill has really make her as proficient in her field as she is today. And so I think to answer your question, how we make choices, how we do things. I think Natalie is such a visionary, and I never told you this, but I'm also a pastor. I'm a community leader as well, and leadership is really my strong suit. So that's all I bring to the restaurant is leadership, and Natalie bring all the things from the back. So we merge that to become, and that's how I believe has contributed to the success of the restaurant. But how does she choose meal? She's never afraid to try new things. And she never wants to be known as a Jamaican chef or just a Jamaican restaurant. She's more,
okay.
She's considered a fusion. She does a lot of international cuisine. And I think she never brand herself or brand the Courthouse Grill as a Jamaican restaurant. People come in here, they'll ask us, so where is the Jamaican flag? Where is the Bob Marley statue? I mean, we don't have space to put it, but they're looking for it. And she was like, that's not who we are. We attracted diversity of cultures here. We have Filipinos, we have Caucasians, we have African Americans. So we choose to fit the demographics that we are trying to attract.
Well, given your cuisine has the rise of vegetarianism been an onslaught or an opportunity?
Initially, it was like an onslaught and trying to figure out what's next in the process. And what we have done now, we have that obstacle now becomes an opportunity because now we have a vegetarian, a vegan menu as a part of our cuisine. And she's able to put her twist in it to that when the vegetarians and vegans come here, they're like, no, this doesn't taste like vegan. This doesn't taste like a vegetarian meal. I'm neither a vegetarian or vegan, but I eat it sometime. Okay. But it has become a great opportunity because right now in Long Island, we're considered one of the top vegan restaurant, but we're not a vegan restaurant, but we provide great vegan options. So it became an opportunity.
Well, on that platform, how do you see your restaurant growing 5 to 10 years from now?
I mean, we just got to continue to change with time. We got to continue to not be afraid of change and pivot where necessary. And I think that's our strength. You know, we never get complacent or comfortable where we are. We are always striving for more. Just before the pandemic, we were thinking about expansion. Of course, you know, common sense put that on, you know, we had to break for a minute. But as far as where do we see ourselves in the next couple of years, next 5 years or so, we see ourselves really expanding and also branding out the things that are unique to our restaurant, the sauces, the way we do our cuisine, and you know, eventually maybe get Scott over here to do a good piece on us.
All right, there we go. Well, thank you very much, Scott. That again, 5 to 10 year. Can you give us that forecast? Where would you like to be? Where do you hope to be? And in this ever-changing environment that we appear to be in these times.
So in 5 to 10 years, where I would hope to be is when if it's around, and hopefully it is, that you see a movie come on and on Netflix or what have you, and it's something that I produced, it's something that I directed, that my company is involved in. You said something of you asked a question to Doris about role models. One of my role models is David E. Talbert. I grew up with him.
Oh, yeah.
He had a movie, Jingle Jangle, Christmas movie or what have you. And you know, Dave didn't start out in film and TV and writing. Dave was actually on the radio, you know, and he talked about doing writing, and just knowing that the sky's the limit with that. So I would like to, like I said, I would like to be to where I can get on that big screen. And in a more personal way, I want to be able to keep expanding what I do by teaching kids how to come in and do this industry. Not just in the sense of learning how to shoot or what have you, but learn the business side of it, learn the hustle side as far as being disciplined enough to when these doors, you know, shut in your face, that you continue to strive on it, to open those own doors, to know that you can be creative in your own mind. So it's personal in the way where I want to be able to be a teacher in our community, to let folks know that there's a way to be your own creative person without somebody telling you that you can't do it, you know, to continue to strive and just be a role model, you know, for our younger generation or what have you. Like I said, industry wise, of course, like I said, I'd like to be to where, you know, I have this big studio and you know, see on TV one day or what have you, but to continue to help folks like Doris and folks like Patrick to when, if they reach out, I'm the first person they think of to say, hey, I need this opportunity. How can you help me? And then I can say, Doris, well, I don't know nothing about websites, so how can you help me? So, you know, to continue just the whole network and the things, you know, to make us all as a people just grow all together. So.
All right. Thank you. Doris, 5 to 10 years from now?
Well, I'm a dreamer and I like to help people to reach their dreams. So I want to continue to expand what I'm doing and to reach more people. I'd like to help, you know, in the future, I'd love to have a business incubator where I'm actually helping, whether it's the single mom or an older woman who wants to reach a dream, or somebody who has, you know, transitioned in their career to something else. I would like to help them to launch their dreams, their businesses, and then hopefully that would just multiply, you know, essentially have a community of women, you know, and men too. Sorry, a few good men doing great things. I mean, business owners, but, you know, I do have a heart for women, particularly I'm a stay-at-home mom, I have several kids. So I did side hustles. I got into this because, you know, wanted to help my husband, you know, and start these side hustles. So my dream in 5 to 10 years is to have this community and have a business incubator and maybe even a business accelerator where you can help to fund these businesses, these women businesses or male businesses to do these great things. So that's what I'd like to see. And I believe I'm going to do it.
Great. What if you could grab the attention of young women in high school, or do you need to go back further in terms of junior high to steer them toward knowing what it is that can set them on the road to entrepreneurship? What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, I would say don't be limited in your thinking as to somebody to tell you what you can't do and what, well, this gender does that. I would tell them to just take the limits off in their minds, learn about technology as much as you can. There's a lot of women in technology, but there's still more men. So don't be afraid to learn about technology, to get out there, code, do those types of things. Just keep your mind open and just go for it. Just try it. I mean, you could fail, but you're not going to know until you try. So that's what I would say to them, to just be wide open in your thinking as to where you could go and then learn as much as you can. You've got YouTube University where you can get on there. You can learn a whole lot just by going on YouTube and learning there. I would say take advantage of that. Have secret mentors and maybe even reach out to people if you're bold enough to say, hey, I'd like to learn from you. Can you take me under your wing? It will be a win-win for both of us. I would say do that as well. But definitely the biggest thing is the mindset of I cannot do this. That's not true. That is not true. So start there and then get all the knowledge you can and get your hands dirty and serve. So, yeah.
So we're looking at junior high or high to begin that path.
Absolutely. I mean, I was thinking stuff when I was in the 6th grade. So, I mean, I think it just really depends, but certainly, I mean, you've got kids. I have a son, he was doing stuff at 5 years old, just, changing passwords and doing all kinds of things. So, they're getting younger and younger. They are. So, but yeah, definitely, I guess at that point that people are, really starting to get closed in and say people start putting limits on you. Maybe that is around junior high, but I think they might start earlier to say, oh, you're not cut out for this and that. Whatever that age is, that's where this needs to begin. To keep your mind open.
Thank you. And Patrick, actually, I'm going to put that out there to you. In terms of how does one bring one into the restaurant business?
That's a very good question. How does one bring one to the restaurant business? I mean, it's, what we have prided ourselves on is really consistency, excellence, quality. And I would say to anyone who wants to get into the business, it's, let it not just be, man, I want to open a restaurant so I can make money. And any business you go into with that mindset, it's bound to plateau after a while because your passion is going to wear out. And so, we have maintained that culture in our restaurants, just being consistent, quality, great customer service. And so if I was going to say, man, someone came to me and asked me, what are some of the things that I need to start a restaurant? I would say to them, man, is this your purpose? Is this something you're passionate about? Because like Scott will tell you, his career is filled with hard work. And are you going to be prepared to stay up at 12 at night to prepare for the next afternoon? Are you going to be willing to put in the hard work to see the good reward? So it's more painting a balanced picture of success and what it's going to take to create that success. So that is what I would say to someone who's looking forward to come into the restaurant business. But I want to pivot and go back to something that Doris said earlier and come back to this point, because she talked about serving, and I think for us as Natalie and I at the restaurant, I mean, I know it's a platform for like entrepreneurs, but I think our biggest achievement is really how we have served our community. We have served the kids here. I mentor they call them at-risk kids. I call them kids who are misunderstood because we have a very good graduation percentage when the ones they call at-risk kids. And they would send them to me to be mentored, to be coached, to be counseled, well, whatever, because I'm a pastor. But I think that's one of the highlights of this, and I thank God for it. I hope everybody's okay with that on the panel here. Thank God for it, because the restaurant has given me a platform which I have used to serve the community. We have impact nights here that we do leadership empowerment, leadership equipping, and it's help couples night. And so to Darius' point, man, it's all about serving. It's all about giving back. So that's has really been, when you talk about the success of the Coalhouse Grill, it's not only in a financial context. It's how much we have leveraged that to help people in our community. How much last Christmas, 52 people were given $200 shopping cards each, so they can go in collaboration with our church, so they can go in and shop for themselves in a supermarket, not being given packages of things that they may not need. So while we talk about Scott said something very powerful about this panel here. I think it's so lacking amongst us as African Americans. When we think success, we think very insular. We don't think collaboration. We think competition. I'm not competing with Darius or Scott, even if we're doing the same things. But how about we begin to think collaboration? You want to talk about success? Let this panel collaborate on any one thing and see what becomes of it.
All right. Well, Scott, I know you have some wisdom to drop on us in terms of how to begin, and more importantly, if you had to set up a class to steer young people into your profession, what would be the chief subjects you would teach?
Oh, that's a good question. The first thing that we'd have to learn creativity, and what creativity means to each individual, because my creativity, my vision may not be your own. That's what I thrive on. I thrive on my vision, bringing my vision to life. So the first thing I would teach them is that creativity. The second thing that I would teach is how to get the resources. And it's so funny you said it, Doris, because I'm self-taught. I've never been to a class for photography. I've never been to a class for videography. Everything that I know, Doris, is from YouTube University. So every single thing that I learned, there's so many resources to learn our craft. So I would, the sky's the limit with that. I would always teach that do not keep yourself in that box. With what I do, to Patrick's point, it's well beyond just photography. I need to teach you to be confident, to be able to do what you want to do, to be able to achieve what you want to achieve in anything that you do. So if that means that you're able to get behind the camera to do it, then fine. If that means you can get in front of the camera to do it, to learn, then fine. But I'm going to teach you first. You got to be disciplined to be able to put in this hard work, because you may never get, above and beyond as far as on the big screen. But what was your impact to other people? Be impactful that way with your creativity to get high and above all things or what have you. There's nothing, like Patrick said, there's so much joy. Just learn to be joyful in what you have and what you can achieve with what you do, not just trying to make everybody else like you, like in all this old social media thing, the more likes you get, the more people like you know. Be
Mhm.
positive in yourself. So, and I know that doesn't have anything to do with, you know, the whole photography, videography side of what I do, but that's the first thing you're going to learn. You got to learn to be disciplined. You got to learn to be confident or what have you, and be creative, you know, and at the end of all this, learn how to give back. Learn how to give your what you know, learn to teach others how to be better at what they do. Because like I said, everybody cannot afford to do things. Everybody can't afford to have a piece of equipment or things like that, but learn to use what you do to help others. And that would be my biggest, that's my big, all this, we can teach how to do photography all day long, or I can teach that all day long, but I want to teach you how to help be a better person. And if you have something that I can't do, like with this bullying, you know, the whole bullying campaign, I'm not an expert in it, but like Doris said, I know someone who is. So use what you have to be able to be a catalyst to help others. That's my biggest platform with this whole photography thing. That's, like I said, that's how it started. I started doing videography to help my brothers to be able to go to college and be the best that they could, and just build on that. I get more satisfaction in seeing people thrive than anything that I do. People can say, oh, you're a great photographer and this and that and other. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's how I help impact others' lives that's most gratifying for me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Brother Scott. We've only got a couple of minutes. I would like to, if I can borrow a word from Brother Patrick, I'd like to begin the benediction and have any closing remarks that anybody would like to share with us now that we've discussed your careers, how you got started, your role models, your influences, and how you would reach out to the next generation of young people that are leaning toward doing what you do. And anyone, this is open to anyone that would care to start it. Closing remarks, your last time today to drop some wisdom on us. Anyone like to begin?
I mean, since Scott
Y'all
won't go
gonna make me
first,
pick a volunteer. Okay, here we go.
Since Scott will go first this time, I'll take it. But you know, Mother Teresa said something very powerful. She said we're like a pencil in the hands of a writing God, and he's using us to write his story. And I believe that each of us have a purpose in life, and we're not here an accident. And for me, I think legacy every day. I think legacy. What would I want my legacy to be? And I think for many of us, if we can get that straight, what we want our legacy to be or become, we begin to align our decisions, our actions in accordance. And so for me is how many people can I help to open more restaurants, open more, do more than we are doing in the food industry? How many more people can I help to find and fulfill their purpose? And if that's my legacy, I think that will be a great legacy.
Mhm.
To see not only I'm successful, but I have assisted or have in some way leveraged what I know and what I have to help others, to kind of lift. And I think in our culture, African American culture, this is so important for us, learning to lift while we climb. I think for many of us, when we get to that place of success, we become a lid for those coming behind us, and we are afraid of people surpassing us. And I would love to see us become so much more comfortable in our success and who we are as people and our purpose. So we're not afraid. Come on, we only become bigger by giving more away. And that's what I leave with tonight. I would say, let us begin to practice giving more away. And collectively, we're more successful than just being successful as individuals.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that. Doris? Any closing remarks, thoughts?
Well, he stole everything I was going to say. So, I mean, really, I do think that, piggybacking on him, it's about relationships and it is about serving. So, in the digital world and in business in general, a lot of times people, I want to get the sale. I want to get to this next thing. It's really all about the relationship that you have and the impact that you are making in those relationships. So I would think, the know, like, trust factor, that happens as you build relationships with people, and relationships occur over time. They're not instant, those types of relationships aren't great, but when you build over time, again, I'm sorry to go back to seed time, water, harvest, when you put that in, you're going to have the relationships, the flourishing relationships that you want. And in those relationships, I think that's where you make the most impact. So that's what I would say.
Well, I'd like to thank our panelists today, Doris and Patrick and Scott. Your remarks have been insightful, perceptive, and cogent. And I will turn this over back to Dr. Williams and Lisa. And thank you, panelists. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, CR, for moderating, and Patrick and Scott and Doris for sharing such a wealth of information, in particular, the focus on lifting one another in our community versus being that lid which prohibits others from being able to expand and to grow and to be great as well. We are excited that you had the opportunity to join us today. We look forward to maybe having you on again at a future time together. And with that, I will hand it over to Lisa as she closes us out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your insight and for your positive message. I too second what Dr. Williams had said, how important it is to lift each other and to build those relationships that Doris had said. This is not an overnight journey. And I believe each one of our panelists can attest that this is a lifetime experiences that can help everyone flourish. Thank you so much for, once again, for being on our show today. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.